Somewhere not far from where you are sitting, there is a doorway you have walked past 100 times without seeing, a green rise in a field, a ring of old stones the farmer plows around and will not touch, a hill that the roads all seem to bend away from. Wherever you have made your quiet tonight, thank you for bringing it here, into the dark hours, where I like to keep company with the oldest stories and the people who told them. These are the tales from the thin places, the seams in the world, where, if the old belief is right, something older than us is still living just on the other side. I have told you before about the fairies of Ireland, the ones you do not name aloud, the ones you leave a saucer of milk for at the door. What I did not tell you then, because I did not properly understand it myself, is where they were supposed to have come from. Because the Irish fairies are not small winged things. They are a defeated people. They are gods who lost a war and would not leave, who chose, instead of dying and instead of sailing away, to step sideways into the hills and go quiet and dwindle over the centuries from a pantheon into a superstition. That is the thing I kept turning over on this one. A mythology that never quite ended, that only went underground and grew quiet and small. Settle in and enjoy. Begin with the sky going dark in the middle of the day. It is the far, unmeasured past, and you're standing on a mountain in the west of Ireland, looking out at an empty sea, when the horizon begins to smoke. Not clouds. A low, rolling darkness comes in off the water, and it swallows the sun so completely that for 3 days there is no proper light, only a bruised half-dusk, and the people already living on the island shut their doors and wait. When the mist finally lifts, there are strangers standing in the hills who were not there before. Tall and too well made. They have come, the old book says, in dark clouds through the air, and they have landed on the mountain and set fire to their own ships behind them, so that the smoke is the smoke of burning boats, and there is no sailing home. They mean to stay or die here. These are the Tuatha Dé Danann, the people of the goddess Danu. They did not come from nowhere. The lower Gavola Airn, the book of the taking of Ireland, the great medieval compilation that tries to fit the old gods into the shape of history, says they came from 4 cities in the northern islands of the world, cities with names like the sound of a bell struck once: Falias, Gorias, Findias, Murias. In each city a master had taught them, and from each city they carried away one treasure. From Falias, the Leah foil, the stone of destiny that would cry out beneath the feet of a rightful king. From Gorias, a spear that meant its bearer could not be beaten. From Findias, the sword of light out of which nothing escaped once it was drawn. And from Murias, the cauldron of the Dagda, from which it is written, no company ever went away unsatisfied. 4 cities, 4 teachers, 4 treasures. Hold that number, 4, because these were people who thought in 4s and did everything by craft, and their gods are gods of made things. The poem, the sword, the cauldron, the harp. That is the first thing to understand about them, and the thing that makes them different from the gods you may know. The Tuatha Dé Danann are not gods of thunder and sky, ruling from above. They are gods of skill. Their word for what they valued most was not power, but art, the making of a thing well. Their heroes are a smith, a physician, a poet, a harper, a write. When they want to name their greatest, they do not call him the strongest. They call him the many-skilled. And so, to meet them properly, you meet them one at a time, the way you would be introduced around a hall full of masters, each one bent over the work only they can do. Come first to the king, because the king is where their whole strange sense of rightness begins. His name is Nuada, and he is beautiful, and he is the war leader who brought them here. And in the very first battle he fights on this island, he loses his hand. A single sword stroke, and the hand is gone at the wrist. And here is the law of these people, the law that will run under everything that happens tonight. A king of the Tuatha Dé Danann must be whole, unblemished, a body without a flaw, because the king's body and the health of the land are believed to be one thing. A maimed king means a sick country. So Nuada, brave, blameless, loved, has to step down from the throne the moment his hand hits the grass, not for anything he did, for a thing that was done to him. Sit with how hard that is. He gave the hand for them, and the giving of it is exactly what disqualifies him. There is grief in that rule, and there is also something the old people understood about power that we have half forgotten, that it is a trust held in the body, and that the wound never asks whether it was fair. Now the physician comes. His name is Dian Cécht, and he is the god of healing, and he makes for the fallen king a hand of silver, a working hand, jointed and moving, silver to the fingertips. And for this Nuada takes a second name that the harpers will sing for 1,000 years. Nuada Argitlov, Nuada of the silver arm. It is a marvel. It is not enough. Because silver, however fine, is not flesh, and the flaw is still a flaw, and a hand of metal cannot make a maimed king whole again in the eyes of the law. So the marvel sits on the wrist, like a beautiful admission of defeat. And then comes the part of this story I cannot let go of. Dian Cécht has a son, Miach, who is a greater healer than his father, and a daughter, Airmed, who knows the herbs. Miach goes to the old king, and instead of silver, he grows the true hand back. Flesh onto flesh, joint to joint, over 9 days and 9 nights, until Nuada has his own living hand again, warm, unblemished, a king once more. It is the finest healing in all the tales. And when Dian Cécht sees that his son has outdone him, he does not weep with pride. He takes his sword and he strikes his own son on the head 3 times, and each time Miach heals the wound. And the 4th time he cuts the brain in 2, and Miach cannot heal that, and he dies. The father kills the son for being the better doctor. And on Miach's grave, 365 herbs grow up out of him, one for every joint and sinew of the body, each in its right place. And his sister Airmed comes and gathers them, and lays them out on her spread cloak in their proper order, a whole medicine, the cure for everything, arranged. And the jealous father comes one more time, and overturns the cloak and scatters the herbs into the wind, so that no one, ever after, would know their true and perfect order. That is why, the story says, we do not have the full cure. It was known once. It grew from a grave, and it was thrown to the wind by a man who could not bear to be surpassed. There is no monster in that story. The horror is entirely a father's pride, and the loss is ours, and it is one of the oldest griefs I know. While Nuada is maimed and cannot rule, they need a king, and here the whole nation makes its worst mistake. They give the throne to a man named Bres. Bres is half of another people. His father is a Fomorian, one of the older, darker powers that haunt the sea and the edges of the island. And Bres is chosen because he is beautiful. That is nearly the only reason. Bres the Beautiful. And he turns out to be the worst kind of ruler these people could imagine, which tells you exactly what they valued, because his crime is not cruelty, and it is not cowardice. His crime is that he is stingy. Under Bres, the great lords come to the royal house, and their knives are not greased with meat, and their breath does not smell of ale. No fires are lit for them. No poets, no musicians. The champions grow shabby. A king who does not give is, to these people, no king at all. He has broken the deepest bond there is, the bond of the open hand. And so, the first weapon ever raised against Bres is not a spear. It is a poem. A poet named Carbra comes to Bres's house looking for the welcome a poet is owed, and he is put in a small dark room with no fire and no bed, and given 3 dry little cakes on a plate. And in the morning, Carbra stands and speaks the first satire ever made in Ireland, a few bitter, brilliant lines about a king with no food on his plates, no milk from his cows, no shelter in his house. And the words raise 3 red blisters on Bres's face. A blemish. Do you see it? The satire ruins the king by ruining his skin, and a blemished king cannot reign. The poet's tongue does what no sword could. That is a people who believed, all the way down, that the right word in the right mouth could unmake a king. Bres is thrown down. He runs to his father's people, the Fomorians, to raise an army and take Ireland back by force. And now, the Great War is coming. But before the war, walk with me through the hall and meet the ones who matter most, because they are about to be tested. Here's the Dagda. His name means the good God, not good as in kind, but good as in good at everything, the all-competent one. They also call him Ocha Ulaher, the All-Father. Picture him, enormous, rough, comic, a little absurd, dragging behind him a club so huge it has to be hauled on wheels like a cart, and rolls a track in the earth as it goes. One end of that club kills 9 men at a blow. The other end brings them back to life. Kills and revives. The same weapon, the 2 ends of the one truth, which is about as neat a picture of what a god is as the old world ever made. He owns the cauldron out of Murias that never empties, so that no one leaves him hungry. And he owns a harp, a great living oak harp called Uania. And when he calls it across a battlefield, it flies to his hand, and he plays on it the 3 noble strains, the music of weeping, the music of laughter, and the music of sleep. And when he plays the sleep strain, a whole army lies down where it stands. He is huge, and he is funny, and the poets clearly loved him, and he is also, quietly, the God who feeds you, and the God who buries you, the one who holds the plenty and holds the ground you go back into. There's a moment with the Dagda I want you to see, because it is the whole war in a single image. On the eve of the great battle, he goes to a river, to a ford, and there he meets a woman washing at the water's edge, standing with 1 foot on each bank astride the river. And this is the Morrígan. Come and meet her now, and lower your voice a little. The Morrígan is the one they do not quite dare to describe as a single thing. Her name is read as the Phantom Queen, or the Great Queen. She is not one goddess so much as a darkness that wears three names, Baf, and Mahka, and Nevin, the Raven, and the Fury, and the panic that empties a battlefield. She is the crow that sits on the shoulder of the man who is about to die. She is sovereignty itself, the land in the shape of a woman, and whoever the land takes as a lover is the true king, and whoever she turns from is finished. At the ford, she and the Dagda lie together, the god of plenty and the goddess of slaughter, and it is a kind of treaty, a promise that the land itself will fight on their side. And then she straightens up and she tells him how the battle will go, and she promises to take the blood and the life out of the enemy's king with her own hands. When she speaks a prophecy, it comes true. Keep her in the corner of your eye through everything that follows, a shape moving above the field, because the Morrígan does not only foretell the end of the battle. At the very close of it all, she will speak a second prophecy, and it is not about a battle at all. But we are not there yet. Because now, at last, into the hall at Tara comes the one they were waiting for without knowing it. A young man walks up to the gate of the royal fort, shining, and asks to be let in, and the doorkeeper says, "No one enters here without an art, a skill no one inside already has." And so begins the most quietly wonderful scene in all of this. The young man says, "I am a wright, a builder." The doorkeeper says, "We have a wright already." He says, "I am a smith." "We have a smith, a champion." "We have one." "A harper." "We have one." "A poet, a historian, a sorcerer, a physician, a cupbearer, a worker in bronze." And to each one the doorkeeper says, "We already have that man," until the young man says, "Ask your king whether he has any one man who is all of these at once, and there is no such man." So they let him in. His name is Lugh, and his byname is Samildánach, the one skilled in all the arts together. And he is also called Lavada, of the long arm or the long reach, for the throw and the spear cast that carries further than anyone's. He is the light of them, the young perfected god, the sum of every skill in the hall standing in a single body. And he has come at exactly the hour they need him, because the Fomorians are here, and the war is now. I have to tell you who Lugh's grandfather is, because it is the black knot at the center of everything. His grandfather is Balor, Balor of the Fomorians, Balor of the Baleful Eye, a giant with a single vast eye in the middle of a wrinkled forehead, an eye kept shut by a lid so heavy that 4 men must haul it open with a hook and a ring, and when it opens, whatever it looks at withers and dies. A whole battlefield can be destroyed by that one look, and it had been foretold to Balor long before that he would be killed by his own grandson. So he did the thing that such men in such stories always do. He locked his only daughter, Enya, in a tower of glass on an island away from every man, so that she could never bear a child. And it did not work. These prophecies never do. That is the whole grammar of them. And a child came anyway, and was cast into the sea, and lived, and grew, and is the shining young man who has just talked his way through the gate at Tara. Lugh does not fully know it yet, and Balor does not know it at all, but the prophecy is walking up the steps of the hall. Now the field! This is the Ka Moia Tu Ra, the second battle of Tuired, the plain of the pillars, and it is the war the whole story has been leaning toward. And notice how the Tuatha Dé Danann fight it, not just with courage, but with craft, with an engine of craft. Behind their lines stand three makers: Govnew the smith, Credne the worker in bronze, Lugh the carpenter, and they have a rhythm going that is terrible and beautiful. Govnew forges a spearhead in 3 blows. Lugh throws a shaft that flies to meet it. Credne pitches the rivets that pin them together, and the weapon is whole and thrown, all in the space of a breath, on and on, faster than the enemy can be killed. And every warrior who falls on their side is carried to a well over which Dian Cécht and his surviving children sing the spells of healing, and the dead come up out of the water alive and whole and go back into the fighting. An army that mends itself and rearms itself as fast as it can bleed. The Fomorians cannot understand it. They send a spy, and the spy sees the well, and they choke it with stones. But for a long, long time, the Tuatha Dé Danann are, in effect, deathless, because their gods of craft will not let the work stop. And then Balor comes onto the field, and the great eye begins, slowly, to open. Nuada. Nuada of the silver arm, the old blameless king, back on the throne by now, falls to that look and dies. The line wavers, and Lugh sees his moment. He has a sling, and as the 4 attendants haul the vast lid up over Balor's eye, before it can fix on the host, Lugh whirls the sling once and lets fly a single stone, and it strikes the eye and drives it clean back through Balor's own skull, so that the deadly look now falls behind him on the Fomorian's own ranks and burns his own people down. The grandfather is killed by the grandson, exactly as it was promised, exactly by the child the tower in the sea could not prevent. The Fomorians break. The Tuatha Dé Danann hold Ireland, and you would think that is the triumph, the happy ending, the young god crowned in the light. But listen to what the Morrígan does when the fighting stops. She climbs to a height, and she proclaims the victory to the mountains and the rivers of Ireland. And then she speaks that second prophecy I told you to wait for. And it is not a victory song. It is a slow, terrible foretelling of a world running down. A time to come when summer will be flowerless and cattle without milk. When men will be treacherous and every one of them for himself. When the old bonds of hospitality and honesty rot. When the son will lie down in his father's bed and no one will keep faith. A world losing its warmth. She has just won the war, and she is already looking past all of it to the age when even gods are forgotten. And that, more than any battle, is the true note these stories end on. Not glory. A clear-eyed sadness about what always eventually comes. Before we come to their own ending, let me set 2 more of them where you can see them, because the hall would be poorer without them. Here is Brigid, daughter of the Dagda, and one of the ones people could never bear to lose. So much so that when Ireland turned to Christianity, they did not let her go. They simply kept her and made her a saint. And Saint Brigid and the goddess Brigid stand so close together now, you cannot always tell whose feast day you are keeping. She is a triple goddess of the highest things these people made, poetry and healing, and the smith's fire. She is the patroness of the flame on the hearth, and the flame in the forge, and the flame of the poem, which are the same fire to them. And it is said that she gave the world its first keening, the high, broken cry of mourning. On the day her own son Ruadan was killed in that same battle, the goddess of the made thing, teaching grief how to sound. Even sorrow with these people is a craft you can be the first to master. And here is Manannán mac Lir, the god of the sea, who will matter enormously in a moment, though he keeps to the edges of the hall. Manannán is the rider of the waves. The sea is his plain, and the crests of the waves are his horses and his flocks of sheep. He wears a cloak that can take the color of any weather, so you never see him coming. He owns a boat that needs no oar and no sail, but goes where its master wishes, and a bag made of the skin of a crane that holds all his treasures at high tide and is empty when the tide goes out. He gives the other world its fruit and its ale of immortality. He lends his name to the Isle of Man, sitting out there in the middle of the Irish Sea. And he is, above all, the keeper of the mist, the one who can draw a veil of fog over a thing, so that it simply is not there to be found. Remember the mist. It is how this whole story began, and it is how it is going to end. Because the Tuatha Dé Danann do not get to keep Ireland. That is the part people forget. They won it from the Fomorians, and they held it for a long age of the world. And then, out of the same sea they had come across, came the last invaders, the Sons of Míl, the Milesians, the ancestors the medieval Irish claimed for themselves, ordinary human ancestors, us more or less. And they came in ships, and the Tuatha Dé Danann, gods of craft, raised a druid storm to wreck them on the rocks, a wind that hid the land itself and threw the ships apart. And the Milesians had a poet of their own aboard, named Amergin. Amergin stood at the front of the boat in the screaming wind and did the thing these stories always come back to. He did not fight the storm. He spoke to it. He recited a poem. I am the wind on the sea. I am the wave of the ocean. I am the eagle on the cliff. I am the god who forms the fire in the head. A poem of a man naming himself as everything at once until the wind lay down and let them land. Poet against gods, and the poet's word carried. They fought at a place called Taltiu, and the Tuatha Dé Danann lost. And now the whole island had to be shared between the beaten gods and the mortal newcomers, and it was Amergin, the poet, who was asked to divide it. And he made a judgment that is either a great cleverness or a great sorrow, depending on the hour you hear it. He gave the Milesians everything above the ground, the green fields, the daylight, the towns to come, the whole surface of Ireland. And to the Tuatha Dé Danann, he gave everything below it, the other half, the underneath. And here is the thing that turns a defeat into the most haunting ending in all of Irish myth. The gods took it. They did not sail away west over the sea, though some tellings let a few of them do that. Most of them went down. Manannán mac Lir led them, the keeper of the mist, and he divided the great green burial mounds of Ireland among them, one lord to each hill. The Dagda's own son Angus to the shining mound on the bend of the River Boyne, the place we call Newgrange, Bruna Bonaya, older than the pyramids, that on one morning of the year lets a blade of midwinter sunrise all the way into its heart, a god to each mound. And over all of them Manannán drew his veil, the fey fiada, the fairy mist, so that mortal eyes would pass over the doorways and see only a green hill, a ring of stones, arise in a field, and he set for them the feast of Givenu, the ale that keeps age and death away, so that under the hills they would not grow old and would not die. They only became invisible. They only went quiet. They only got smaller in the tellings, century by century, until the gods of the 4 cities, the silver-armed king, the All-Father with his cauldron, the shining boy who killed Balor, the queen of ravens, had thinned in the mouths of frightened farmers into the Aos Sí, the people of the mounds, the good folk, the fairies you do not name, the ones you leave the milk out for, the ones I told you about long ago on another night. So when I say these are the thin places, this is the story I mean underneath it. The Irish did not believe the old gods had died or been disproven or sailed off and left the island empty. They believed the gods were still here, directly under the good grass, behind a fog that a sea god drew a very long time ago, sharing the country with us on the strict condition that we almost never see them. Every fairy fort a farmer will not plow. Every mound the road bends around. Every warning not to fall asleep on a certain hill, not to answer if you are called by name at dusk. All of it is the long, dwindling afterlife of a defeated pantheon that would not leave. Gods who lost and stayed and became a thing you whisper. And now the hall has gone quiet, and the harper has stopped, and it is time to let all of it settle. The great club is still. The cauldron is scoured and cold. The silver hand and the healed hand and the scattered herbs and the slingstone and the burning eye, set them all down gently on the far side of the fog, where they have been resting for 1,000 years and will rest 1,000 more. The mounds keep their own, and they keep them well, and out here there is only your warm room and the fire settling lower, and the good dark pressing soft against the glass. Let the hills be. Let the mist stay drawn. Let yourself grow heavy and low and easy, and sink down, slow as a midwinter sun going into the mound, into sleep. Thank you for spending these dark hours with me and with them. Sleep well, wherever you are, whatever is nearest to you out there in the nigh.